Joining me now is John Brennan, former CIA director and an NBC News senior national security and intelligence analyst. Director Brennan, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Sure, Kristen.
Can you take us inside what you would anticipate the investigation into these leaks looks like? You just heard Garrett lay out the list of unanswered questions. Obviously, there is immense urgency to try to get answers here.
Well, yes, Kristen, I think Dan and Garrett laid out very well the depth and the extent of the concern about what already has been revealed in public social media fora, but also what might in fact come out. And so there are a number of actions that are taking place immediately and simultaneously. First thing is to staunch the flow of this very sensitive intelligence from getting out into the social media environment. And that's the counterintelligence investigation that's going on, try to find out who leaked it, and then making sure that we're able to stop any further flow of this intelligence that is out there. It was pointed out, these things have been out there for quite a while, so I'm sure that the various authorities are looking at what else might have been out there for a while and that has not even been uncovered yet. Secondly, to make sure that we are able to understand what the potential compromise is to sources and methods, human source networks around the globe that provide us this very, very important and sensitive intelligence to keep our security. But also the technical collection systems that we rely on heavily around the globe. And some of the press reports that have come out about these documents that have been floated now seem to reveal these sensitive human source networks as well as technical collection systems. And then also to try to reach out to our partners and allies around the globe to try to assure them that we're doing everything possible to mitigate the damage, but also to express our regret. Unfortunately, when I was director of CIA, I had to make some calls to our partners and allies around the globe when there were these unauthorized disclosures, because they're very concerned that this could in fact damage U.S. intelligence. And they rely heavily on U.S. intelligence. And so wondering what the impact of this is going to be on the Ukrainian battlefield, on our relations with partners and allies, as well as our collection systems and capabilities. This is something that I think everybody, including especially the oversight committees in Congress, is very worried about.
Director Brennan, let me follow up with you on a couple of the really good points that you make. You talk about sources and methods. You told my colleague Andrea Mitchell just yesterday, you are concerned that lives could be at risk. Now, one day later, do you have any sense whether the concern is growing about that, or has some of the risk been mitigated? Where do you think that stands?
Well, I think they're in the process right now of trying to understand what that risk is and to see whether or not any of the information that has come out is source revealing, because some of this is very sensitive and it could be single source threaded. And so therefore, if there are any lives that are potentially at risk, you want to try to make sure that you get people out of harm's way. If there are technical collection systems that are at risk, you want to maybe shut them down temporarily or take other actions to try to protect them for future collection capabilities. So there's just a lot that is going on. I'm sure my former colleagues throughout the intelligence community and Department of Defense, FBI, are working around the clock to mitigate the damage of this, what I think has been almost a nightmare scenario.
Do you have a sense at this point, Director Brennan, about whether you think this seems to be more of a hack or a leak? And do you have any idea of who might be behind it based on the conversations, based on what you've seen and heard and read?
Well, based on what I've seen, it appears as though these are documents that were at one point folded up and then photocopies made of them that were pushed out onto these social media chat rooms. Folded up indicates to me that somebody concealed them, maybe on their person or in their bag or whatever, as they left a secure facility, and then made copies of them, photocopies of them, and pushed it out. So I do think it's individual. I don't believe it's a hack. It doesn't seem like it's a hack. Obviously, these documents were in a unsecured environment where these actions could be taken, but it looks as though it's a malicious actor, whether it's one actor alone, a lone actor, or whether or not there are several people involved here, and whether or not they were doing it at the behest or direction of our adversaries. I think these are things that the FBI, DOD, and others are looking at right now. Also, I should point out that I think, as was pointed out by Garrett or Dan, that probably there are actions being taken now to reduce the dissemination of this very sensitive intelligence and to take other actions to try to prevent a further seepage of this outside of classified channels. So reducing the number of people who have access to it, maybe also reducing the number of printers that can print out classified documents. I think all these are measures that they're taking right now.
And we know, Director Brennan, there are some officials who have said some of these documents appear to have been doctored. Do you agree with that assessment? Is that a real possibility?
What I've heard so far is that the casualty figures in the Ukraine conflict seem to have been doctored. They have reduced the number of Russian casualties and inflated the number of Ukrainian casualties. And so I think the point that the State Department spokesman was making is an accurate one. We have to be concerned now about disinformation. Will our adversaries try to take advantage of these documents that are out there and alter them or change them? It's a great concern to the national security officials that I know are very worried about what has happened.
Director Brennan, thank you for powering through. We had a little bit of a technical glitch at the end there, but we got the last bit of what you were saying. Thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate your insights on this really critical story.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.